Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Come one, come all. Welcome to the Cosmic Countdown, where Aaron the Dog and myself break down our top 100 favorite movies. This is the fourth or fifth week, but we are right in the thick of it. So come on in, get your popcorn, get everything ready, and we are about to go through number 85 through 81. Before I get too deep into this, I am joined, as I always am, by my friend and co-host Aaron the Dog. Thank you so much for being here, as always, my friend. How are you today?
I'm good, man. I think this is week number 4, if I'm not mistaken. So we're in our bottom 20 of our top 100, which is still great movies. But yeah, it's been great so far. Excited to be back to discuss 85 to 81 today.
Yeah, man, I'm pumped for it. Before we get into the actual movies today, if you have a minute or so, I would like to just tell you how much I'm enjoying your one of your other channels that you're a part of, Why We Love Horror, and
Yes.
I watched y'all's last review, or one of the last reviews of Ready or Not, and
Yep.
I thought it was awesome. I actually went and watched the movie myself. And left a comment, and I really enjoyed that whole thing, like watching the movie, then watching y'all show, and then commenting on it, and just being a part of that whole interaction with that movie. So I just want to tell y'all shout out and salute and kudos to what y'all are doing over there, because it's good stuff.
Yeah, no, it's been a great time. For those who don't know, you can definitely give us subscribe. Just type in Why We Love Horror and should come up, but Why We Love Horror Ready or Not should definitely bring up the channel. If not already, we're approaching, I think, like 50 subscribers at this point. So, we're starting out slow, but that's all good. It's myself, my fiance, which will be my wife at this point next time we talk, since I get married this weekend, and my good friend, John Marr. So John originally started the channel, but yeah, we talk about either a new movie, or if there's no movie that kind of justifies it, we go with an old movie, or a movie that, so we did Ready or Not, which obviously is an older movie if you're not familiar, or not older, but a few years older. We just discuss it, go into kind of plot holes, other things that we noticed. And it's a really good discussion. We've got kind of a gambit of 40s, 30, and 20s on the show. And so you definitely get a wide perspective. And we don't always agree on movies, for sure. But yeah, we love horror. So we're talking about tomorrow, actually. Later today, but it'll be released tomorrow at 5 p.m. And they're always released at 5 p.m. Our reviews. We're doing a movie called Soulmates, which is actually on theaters right now. It has Neil McDonough in it, who, if you don't know who Neil McDonough is, you know who Neil McDonough is. You just have to look him up. He's one of the best kind of evil, villainous actors kind of out there. And it's about two people who are set up through, basically, it's like Saw and a First Date combined into a movie. These two people have to navigate through a bunch of different puzzles and games to that kind of represent the dating scene, to figure out how to get out of there and why they're there together. So it's a smaller movie. Unfortunately, Taylor Swift kind of taking away from a lot of movies being released right now, amongst other things like the strike. So, but I won't give away too much here. But I'm assuming most people haven't heard of it yet. But we decided to give it a shot. It was the horror release for this week. It will be Soulmates tomorrow, being released on the channel. We're recording it later today. So Thursday at 5 p.m. And then if anybody's interested, we also run horror trivia over there. Basically, you can choose any category you want as your strength. The first round, you and your opponent choose 4 general categories each, ranging from decades to genres to directors, whatever you want it to be, really. And so the first round, you answer 8 questions. And then second round, you have 5 questions you can answer for 2 points, or go down to multiple choice for 1. And then the third round is all plot synopsis. So you'll spin a wheel with a bunch of different categories on it, and you get 3 different questions ranging in difficulty. So it could be like you could spin like psychological horror, found footage, whatever, and you choose the categories as well. So if anybody is interested at all in that, Why We Love Horror trivia also on the channel. I've played in it. Abby, my fiance, has played in it. She's undefeated actually.
Nice.
Yeah, so she's 2-0, so she's moving up. I'm 1-1 currently. So but it's a good time, man. So anybody who's ever interested, just you can comment on this video or comment on any of our videos or find one of us on Twitter, and we'll definitely help you out, or X, formerly known as Twitter. We'll help you. So yeah, it's a good time. I've been fully enjoying my continued break from MMA, and I do think it will end in 2024, but if I don't want to come back, I'm not going to come back. And so, it is what it is. I just kind of am over the oversaturation and other, I think, outside things that are happening with MMA more and more. So, it's just gotten to the point where I'm not feeling like I want to put in the amount of effort that I feel comfortable with putting in if I'm going to put out a show. So if I do come back with that on Aaron the Dog MMA, I will definitely be back in full strength once I do. And if I don't, that means that I'm just not ready to yet. So it is what it is. I don't know many cappers who I would recommend checking out their channels at this point. Patrick's out of it, but 2 Cents, definitely a very good weigh-in shows pre and post. Fight coverage, I do like your coverage. I'm not just saying that because I'm on your channel. I think that I really do enjoy it.
No, that's bullshit. I told him to say that. Don't believe a word of it.
Yeah, but honestly, I can count on one hand the amount of cappers who I would tune into their YouTube channels and actually feel good about it. So,
well, dude, I appreciate the kind words, and I will definitely co-sign Patrick and the other cool barrages of the community. And I don't blame you one fucking bit, because it's kind of just it's kind of been a fiasco, man. It's just like one farce after another. It's a very farcical WWE era that we're living in, but it is what it is. But I will definitely be anxiously awaiting your return. But I understand, man. You gotta.
Yeah, you'll know when I'm back. I'll be back, and until then, it's as good of news. I know it's bittersweet, but it's as good of news that I'm not doing it, because it means that I'm just not willing to sacrifice like my integrity to just be, and like I care too much about quality, and no one wants to hear me just rant like this against MMA. If you're an MMA fan, these things are going to trigger you, or you can own it, and either way, like, it doesn't serve a purpose.
Well, and that's kind of why I'm like still doing it, because like I'm just being honest about it, and I'll tell you what a fucking joke I feel it is, and like I'll tell you which fights I think are fucking bullshit, and like fugazi decisions, and like fighters.
Yeah, it's just a lot of the community at this point feels like it's missing the point of things too, because they'll like they had and this is the end of my rant after 30 more seconds. A lot of like with the Volk Islam fight. That fight, in my opinion, was already set up for a while, and I don't really buy that. At least from the UFC brass, this wasn't the plan. I don't believe that I believe Charles Oliveira got a cut. I don't believe that he was trying not to get a cut, is what I'll say. And people just went, "Oh, it's a better fight anyways," so they don't care. Now the same thing's happening with John Jones and Stipe, where Stipe pulls out as well. Whatever, that's fine. Who cares? Stipe hasn't fought in 3 years. I don't really care. And why is he even close to a title shot? I don't know, because of what he used to do. If Cain Velasquez comes back, is he getting a title shot too? But I digress. It's a better fight now, so a lot of people are going to miss the point of this isn't how we should be setting up an interim title fight. These guys are on 11 days notice, Aspinall and Pavlovich, and it also protects whoever loses. They're not going to fall in the rankings at all, and they have their two in contenders now, and now one of their contenders has a fake belt that they can never fight John Jones with, because John Jones is only going to come back and fight a 43-year-old Stipe Miocic. So what are we doing here? Like, it's just it's nonsense. We're kind of in where they're looking for the blockbuster cards, and then the rest of the cards are just going to kind of shovel out to get their quota. So
brother, you got to have them storylines. You got to have promo cutting. You got to have people that are going to put butts in the seats and entertain and make that sweet, sweet money.
Right. Yeah. And a rant though on that.
Dude, you can rant all you want, man.
I've enjoyed the break from putting in hours of time to fights that the judges don't know what they're seeing, the fights that get pulled out, to fights where fighters are just kind of, I get the fight game's unpredictable, but sometimes it really does seem like the fighters are being told to not do certain things. Like, it's just weird.
Dude, you are singing my song, man. Dude, you can rant all you want. The floor is yours. When you get the invite to my channel, it's you're steering the ship just as much as me, man. So I thank you as always for being here. And yeah, man, just anything that comes to mind, you just let it rip. And especially this week, dude. This is your big week, man. And you know what? Because it's your big week, I wanted to ask you this live, and I'll kind of just like it's not like a huge deal or anything, but because it is your big week, I will let you decide. Like, do you want to go first, or do you want to let me go first and have the last word? Like, whatever you want to do this week, man. You just
I'll go first, because actually my first movie transitions quite well.
Okay. Well, give me 1 second. Let me make sure I've got these in order. But that is awesome. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And another reason you can rant as long as you want to, because we're just in here talking to ourselves. But shout out and salute to the Dome. I'm hoping that someone from the Dome will come up in here at some point. But let me get this is Aaron's list thus far. Anybody that does see this that's new, any movies that you see with asterisks on them are movies that we have in common, and the ones that are in bold are movies that we have punted on, meaning that they will be discussed in the future at some point. We both have them on our list, but one of us has it further up the list. So Aaron is going to go first this week. We have punted on 3 thus far, and I've actually made a little banner for that. So like I said, only 3 so far. These are the 3: True Romance, Jackie Brown, and Scream. We've punted on those. I have True Romance and Jackie Brown a little further up my list. Aaron has Scream further up his list. So today I feel like we made mention of this a little bit last week, but I think we both have a Steven Spielberg on deck this week. So my question to you in the audience, and it's rhetorical, of course, or if you don't want to answer or whatever, we don't really know, but will we see punt number 4? Are we going to have the same Spielberg? Are we going to have a different Steven, or is it not going to be on our list altogether? That is a question that I am having in the back of my mind, and I'm very anxious to see the answer to it.
I think we have at least 1 punt this week. We might have 2.
Woo! Let's go.
That's my prediction. But are you ready for my number 85?
I am ready. Ready when you are, sir.
So I did bring up WWE, or if I didn't, I implied it. Wrestling. I used to be a big fan of wrestling, honestly, when it had the F in it. WWF is my era, Attitude Era. I was raised on it. I'll be honest, it's pretty much what I was watching before I switched over to MMA back in the day. There's Jack Attack. What up, Jack?
Jackie boy.
Hopefully Jack's seen this film. This is a Darren Aronofsky joint. I love Darren Aronofsky. I would say this is probably my favorite, or one of my 2 favorites. It's pretty damn close between this and another one that I think I will be talking about later on my list, but I'll have to double check. This is Mickey Rourke starring as Randy the Ram. This is The Wrestler. This movie is, I think, one of the best performances of the last 20 plus years, easily, in Mickey Rourke playing Randy the Ram. It's just a tremendous character study. Everybody in this movie feels so real as well. Like everybody from the people who he's working in the grocery store with to the other wrestlers. It's a peek basically into the life of a fading legend who doesn't know when enough's enough, and sacrifices everything for that. First of all, have you seen The Wrestler?
I have not seen The Wrestler. It's been on my list for a while, but I have not had a chance to see it, but I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, no. So I'll just kind of keep it short, but another Darren Aronofsky movie I really like, which I'm not going to mention yet because I do think it's going to be brought up is about kind of the high arts and how the high arts can destroy you. This is definitely looking into the realm of the low arts in Randy the Ram, who's played by Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke himself has had a rough career, made a lot of mistakes along the way. And so I think a lot of this was kind of biographical, which made it so real. Marissa Tomei playing a stripper as well. There's no problems at all there. There's some very good moments there. His relationship with his daughter, played by Evan Rachel Wood, who is of Westworld fame. Jack has not seen The Wrestler. It's okay, Jack. Neither has my co-host. But yeah, Evan Rachel Wood, who is Dolores from Westworld on HBO, one of my favorite HBO shows ever. Got canceled too soon. She's in this movie as his daughter. Yeah, it's just a phenomenal movie. And if you're at all a fan of wrestling, I think you're going to get more out of it. But I don't think you necessarily have to be a fan of wrestling either. It's so like it's crazy that Mickey Rourke did not win the Oscar for this movie. All those movies are great. Darren Aronofsky's Noah, of course. Noah's wild, but I'll tell you right now, Requiem for a Dream and The Whale are not my other Darren Aronofsky movie either. But yeah, I mean, Mickey Rourke, I think the biggest Oscar snub. Not that I'm that into the Oscars, but I mean, he absolutely deserved Best Actor for this. The way it ends is pitch perfect as well. I obviously won't spoil that now. But yeah, just start to finish, this one has so much, I think, to take from it. It's just we all get one life to live. We got to live with our mistakes as we go and try to do better. And that kind of encompasses what this movie's about. I'm not going to go into too much more detail, but The Wrestler is a must-see movie.
Man, I really need to. And that sounds like that is a great spoiler-free review that makes me want to see it like a lot. So it's been pretty high on my list. My brother is an Aronofsky lover, and I do like Aronofsky.
Much less pretentious than most of his other stuff, too.
Did he do The Fountain?
He did The Fountain, yep.
The Fountain might be my favorite. The
Fountain's way out there. That Fountain's great as well. Mother, another great one.
I've only seen clips of Mother. I've seen like the ending that everyone's like, dude, you gotta see it. It's so fucked up. All right, whatever. I'll see the fucking ending. I've seen the ending of that. And Requiem and Fountain are probably my favorite Aronofsky drinks.
Yeah, this movie's just kind of about life, loneliness, forgetfulness. It's a brutal one. And, it's just got a real through line, especially with the daughter, of not forgetting the people that are important to you in your life. And it's just, it's a good one, man. And if you have a love or an admiration or had an admiration for wrestling at any point in your life, I just think it adds that much more. But it's a pretty universal story here.
We got to see it. I got to see it then. I'm gonna make Lady TC watch it too. She loves wrestling more than I do, man. She actually got a WWE tattoo. That's how much she fucks with pro wrestling. And she's seen a bunch of shows and shit and met a bunch of them. But
she would dig it, Ben. I mean, there's some like great moments where he's in like an ECW type of organization too, and they're kind of going through like before the match, going over how to use like the stapler and shit.
Nice.
And, it's just it is just very realistic. I think it's got a little Ultimate Warrior, a little bit of Macho Man, little all the Hulk Hogan. Like, I think it's kind of it's a conglomeration to create this story, and just it does not feel like they're acting in a good way.
That's good shit, man. I like that. I'll have to check it out for sure. I'm telling you, Jackie boy, that was she's a real one, dude. She's about as real as it fucking gets. Yeah. So my number 85 is a movie that I'll just give it a quick intro. This movie was made on a $250,000 budget, and it basically launched the careers of not only the lead like actors and actresses, but also the director. A band has actually credited this movie for helping their career, as well as kind of like an entire fucking musical genre. This movie has been out for over 20 years. It is now considered like a hipster favorite. So hipster alert, gonna pick up right where I left off. My last one was Ghost Dog, and this is another kind of like hipster movie. But it has now become a favorite, man. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the 1996 cult classic and my 85th favorite movie, Doug Liman Swingers.
Okay, not on my list, but I like this one.
Yeah. Swingers is a movie that I don't even remember when the first time I watched it was, but it's a movie that every time I watch it, it's not like I watch it all the time, but every time I watch it, man, it just ages really well, dude. Like if I had to sum up this movie in one word, it would be like relatable, especially for me. Like it's for those, if anyone hasn't seen it, it's about a struggling actor played by Jon Favreau who's out in Los Angeles trying to make it. And it's like he's just had a bad breakup, and it's him like trying to get back on his feet, get back out there into the dating world. He's friends with Vince Vaughn, Ron Livingston, and some other dudes. And it's just about dudes, like young dudes in Los Angeles, like partying and like trying to make it successfully. And yeah, that's what it's about basically. But it was filmed on location in Los Angeles and Vegas on a very like minimal budget. Jon Favreau wrote the script of this movie in 2 weeks and also used like relatively like unknown actors and actresses. Vince Vaughn and Ron Livingston were both his buddies at the time. And Doug Liman, the director himself, was like kind of trying to get his name out there. So he he produced and directed this movie. And Favreau just like whipped up the script and they just fucking made it. So the movie has this really like authentic and genuine feel to it, and that's kind of some of the reasons why like this is a like made from scratch. Like it was an underground sleeper hit. It got sold to Miramax and it's a classic now, but it does have like humble beginnings. So that's just I had to throw that out there. But dude, it's fucking funny. Like it has a lot of quotable lines, but the more I watch it, like I said, it's just really relatable to me, dude. Like it's just it's a movie where it reminds me of what it was like to be a young person and like go out and like I've been like every character in this movie, dude. Like I've been dude, just like really struggling after a tough breakup, like being a whiny bitch, won't shut the fuck up about my ex, like oh my god, just like being a nightmare to my friends. I've been Sue, like the tough guy, like thinks he's a lot tougher than he really is, but he's really insecure. I've been Trent, like life of the party, wannabe ladies man, fucking douchebag. Like I can relate to almost every character in this movie in some way, and that's another reason I really like it. It's just like a very accurate portrayal of like dating life for a dude. It's just like a really good, like funny, heartfelt dude movie.
Yeah, it's got 90s swing music when like Big Bad Voodoo Daddy and shit were like all the rage, those bands, like Brian Setzler's orchestra. It brings you back. The answering machine scene is one of the classics ever. Ron Livingston's my favorite character in this movie by far, though.
Dude,
I relate to him very much.
Dude, yeah, exactly, dude. Ron dude, there's so many good moments where it's like there's a lot of good like being there for your buddy scenes. Yes. And it's not like there's not a lot of frill to it. It's just kind of like the dialogue is really kind of stripped down, but it's realistic. Like it doesn't. I watched this movie today. Like I started yesterday and finished it today. Like it doesn't really feel that age. Like if you switch up some of the clothes and slang, and this movie could really be made anytime. Like there's just some of the moments, man, like are so good. Like particularly, I love the way Liman shows what it's kind of like to like go through the night. Like you pregame, you fucking bar hop, you party hop, you bar hop. Oh, this party sucks. Let's go here. Let's go there. Running into people you fucking know, like running into people that know you. You can't remember their fucking name. Like talking to a girl and like she seems like, oh man, this chick's hot, like I want to talk to her, and then you quickly realize you just made the worst fucking mistake of your life. Like really funny and relatable, very like just a good movie, like good party movie, good drinking movie, good just like dude movie. Like every time I watch it, I'm like, man, this movie rocks. Like, yeah, some of the stuff has gotten like played out the like Vegas baby, but like it started with this movie. Like that line started with this movie. You're like that's money, your money, baby. Like money. You're so fucking money. Like it started here.
Yeah, it's extremely influential to this day. It's funny that Doug Liman directed it since he did movies like Edge of Tomorrow and like Go, which is another well underrated movie.
I love Go, man. That's one of my favorite Limans.
Yeah, Doug Liman made good on this afterwards, for sure. Yeah, and we all can definitely relate to it. So
Jack, you're so fucking money, baby, and you don't even know it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, this is a great choice. Yeah, it wasn't on my list, but definitely is a movie that I respect and I appreciate and, can revisit anytime and kind of reminisce on how I used to be. Because, yeah, I also can relate a lot to each of the characters at different points, for sure. So, yeah, good choice.
Appreciate it, dude. Yeah, you're up, my friend.
All right, 84. Going back to the 80s here. I didn't realize how many 80s movies were on my list until I actually made it. But yeah, this is again a pretty somber movie. Wrestler, very somber. This one even more so. Without getting too into the details, but I do feel it's necessary before I bring up this movie. My father passed away when I was 3 years old, so grief has been a part of my family since I have cognizant memories. And the waves the ripples that grief affects the entire family, the relationships within each other, their feelings towards the world, everything like that. This movie, you talked about relatable. This movie is maybe one of the most relatable on my list. Fortunately or unfortunately, but it's directed by Robert Redford. So I love him as an actor. As a director, I think he's almost equally as good. This is Ordinary People. Have you ever heard of Ordinary People?
I have heard of Ordinary People, yes.
So Ordinary People is essentially, it's almost like Good Will Hunting if it happened in the 70s, I would say, because there's a huge relationship with Timothy Hutton, who plays Conrad, who's one of whose brother has died, and then he had attempted suicide after his brother had died. And so there's a lot of misunderstanding of depression, suicidal tendencies, and therapy definitely wasn't like as accepted as it is now, especially for men in 1980. The cast is absolutely stacked. Donald Sutherland is incredible as the father trying to keep the family together. Mary Tyler Moore as the judgmental mother, but it's not like cartoon portrayals. Again, very real interpretation, but it's Judd Hirsch and Timothy Hutton. Judd Hirsch plays the therapist who clearly was the inspiration for Robin Williams' therapist in Good Will Hunting. No doubt about it. No one can convince me otherwise. This guy was the OG. Judd Hirsch, good mensch, first of all. Donald Sutherland, if you like Donald Sutherland, this is his best performance, in my opinion. And Timothy Hutton is unbelievable in this role. Actually very believable in this role. And yeah, it's a really tough watch, honestly. It was Robert Redford's directorial debut. It deserved the best picture win that it got as well. I kind of assumed this was just kind of going to be a boring Oscar Beatty type of movie. And I was floored when I finally watched this movie. It's one that I have trouble revisiting. It's just very, very difficult to watch. It definitely resembles a lot of feelings my family has had as well, towards me and other people. And it's just, yeah, it's misunderstood. It's just grief is messy. Grief is lifelong. And it's just, and I haven't seen it portrayed so real and non-cartoonish in a movie before, honestly. And the positive messages it sends towards therapy, I think, are really important as well. And it does this all without preaching as well. It's just, it's the past never leaves you. The past continues with you through the present. and it doesn't leave you. You can learn to live with it. But yeah, and it's just, there's issues because the mother, like all parents, had a favorite child, and the favorite child was the one who died. And now the child who's left is, attempting suicide, and she has to the mother, who's played by Mary Tyler Moore of all people,
Oh man.
yeah, has to kind of deal with misunderstanding her son, and it's ugly at some points. There's it's a lot of talking in this movie, and it's just not a boring movie either. And I kind of can't believe Robert Redford did this as his debut. I don't think he ever quite reached the heights of this again, but either way, like, I think he has some great movies. I think Quiz Show is another really good movie. It gets made fun of a lot, but Legend of Bagger Vance, not bad. But this is his best work, and obviously he has some great acting roles as well. But yeah, it's a heart-wrenching movie. If you don't relate to this, I don't want to say I'm jealous, but congratulations if you don't relate to this. But I think we all have had at this point in our life some sort of grief that to an extent has affected our families. If it hasn't, maybe you need to look a little closer. But
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, man. Not to cut you off, but I'm gonna have to see this one, man, because I've heard of it, and I remember that Timothy Hutton won the Oscar, and that's pretty much what I remember the most.
And he should have won Best Actor, but they wanted to make sure he got the Oscar, so they gave him Best Supporting Actor. But yeah,
an Academy. But man, grief is actually something that like I haven't experienced until like relatively recently. Like I had grandparents that passed, but I had a couple of my really close buddies die in like the last 5 years, and so it's something that's like become really like that, like something that I haven't really had to deal with until recently. But I've been in and out of therapy since I was a teenager, man. I've dealt with like all kinds of mental health issues and stuff. So
yeah,
that is definitely something that I can relate to, and I'm gonna have to watch this movie, man, because I can deal with a movie that's a lot of talking if it's like good dialogue and like good. This sounds like
I mean, and it's just like I'm very sensitive to how mental health is portrayed in movies, because I think a lot of times it is played off the wrong way. In this movie, it's not, and it just unfortunately it came out the same year as Raging Bull, which so many people will say is the far superior movie. It might be a little bit better for some people, but for me, I would take Ordinary People any day of the week. And I just think it's if it is second place for that year, it's not a far off second at all. And it kind of encourages me that a movie like that would actually win the award. So yeah, I mean, it won Best Director, Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor, adapted. Shit. Yeah, it's a heavy movie, but it's a good one.
Well, that is good shit, man. I mean, that's some of the that's when you find out how good of an actor or actress someone really is. Not necessarily like the award itself, but when you get a movie that like is a real dramatic role with like a lot of heavy subject matter, but they can portray it in a way that's not, like you said, like not ham-fisted and really just like genuine. That's when it's like, oh man, that is some good acting skill coming through.
Yeah, no, it's a banger, man. It's great.
That's awesome. I'm add it to the list, brother.
I think it's on Amazon Prime too, so it's
okay.
Easy to find.
Right on, man. You're giving me some really great recommendations. Well, my number 84, 'tis the season for this one. And this is not only a horror movie, but this is probably, man, this might be my favorite horror movie. If it's not my absolute favorite, it's one of them for sure. It's one of my only horror movies on this list, actually. But when I first saw this movie in theaters, when it came out, I was in my late teens, and I saw it with the girl that I was dating in college when I had a brief tenure at the University of Arkansas. So I saw this movie in theaters. I was high as fuck, and I was just really not prepared for what I was about to see. I'd seen the previews kind of, and I was like, just whatever, go see a horror movie with my girlfriend, whatever. I was just not ready for this one. It's become one of my favorites since I first saw it over 20 years ago. I watched it last Halloween season with the missus, and it's it hits on some different levels now, but it's just aged so well, and I love it so much. Ladies and gentlemen, my 84th favorite movie, I give you the 2002 zombie game changer, Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later.
Not on my list, and do a rewatch for sure, but I remember when this came out and loving it.
I love this movie so much because the first time I saw it, it scared the ever loving shit out of me, dude. I just wasn't ready. I was just like, oh, it's just gonna be a zombie movie, whatever. That fucking first scene with those animal activists and unleashing that fucking virus is fucking terrifying, dude. It is this movie is just intense, man. It does a really good job of like, it's got the zombie horror. So it's got that aspect of like surviving the zombie attack, but it also has this like see my other Avatar, like the feeling of isolation, dude. Danny Boyle does a really good job of just making you feel. He puts you in the shoes of like being there with Jim and the other survivors, like by the way the film is shot. I don't know all the like different techniques and actual like camera that he used or whatever, but the way it's shot is very like, it makes you feel like you're there. Found footage-esque mixed with like regular, more conventional directing, whatever, but it makes you really feel helpless, like nobody else is there, no one is coming to help you. It is just you and these fucking murderous like fucking zombie creatures, and it spreads so fast, and just like, so yeah, you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna get killed by one of these things, but I could become one of these things like that in like seconds. I could be turned into one of these horrific, like convulsing creatures. Dude, like like I said, the first time I saw it, holy shit, I was terrified. I was like, oh my fuck, because I was high as a kite and just wasn't ready, and it was just like, I just felt like I had to survive the whole fight. Like when the movie was over, I was just like, holy shit. I was like, I just survived a fucking like zombie apocalypse. Like, fuck. Like, but after like multiple watches, there's all these other things that like I pick up, like the allegories, the messages about like what it's like to be part of a community, fear mongering, isolation, fucking all these great themes, like these heavy themes, but they portray it through the lens of a fucking like surviving a pandemic. And that's another thing, dude. Watching 28 Days Later in these times, modern times, it just be hitting a little bit different. So I recommend, if you haven't seen this in a while, this is very relevant. Some of the things in it, like definitely before their time, especially considering what some of the shit that's happened. But this is one of my favorites, man. I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, I definitely respect this movie. And yeah, the sequel wasn't great, but it doesn't take away from what this one was. And it was, again, so influential to the zombie movies moving forward. You know, the quick zombie had not been, I can remember seeing before this movie either. So
yeah, that's a good point. That is another thing that's like kind of freaky.
Everywhere.
Like, yeah, it's not Night of the Living Dead where they're kind of just like, oh, kind of creeping. I mean, I like Night of the Living Dead, but like this one, yeah, they're quick and the disease spreads almost in seconds. In seconds, if you get infected, and that becomes a real like a staying point and sticking point for like the survivors, is like if you get infected, there's you got about 20 to 30 seconds. You got to make a decision whether you're gonna fucking kill that person or not, or they're about to be fucking after you, and you better be making the right choice. And it's just really intense, but it's really well done by a good director, Cillian or whatever Murphy. He's become one of my favorite actors, and it started with this one. He hit him, Naomi Harris, Brendan Gleeson. I can't remember the name, the woman that plays the daughter, but she's really good too. Christopher Eccleston, who I don't know if you're a Doctor Who guy. I think he's one of the Doctor Who's, but he's really good in it too. Yeah, man, I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, no, great choice. Yeah, Cillian Murphy is. This is, I think, the first movie I saw him in too, and he's still killing it. Oppenheimer was great as well with Killian this year.
Oh God, I gotta see that.
Yeah, absolute banger. One of my favorites of the year. Right behind Beau is Afraid. So 2 3-hour movies are on the top of my list, and now 3 3-hour movies after Killers of the Flower Moon, which also delivered.
Oh God, I gotta see that one too. Was it good?
Yeah, it was great. The audience sucks, but what else is new?
Right.
People are stupid, so no chain there. On to my 83. You talked about prescient, you talked about relatable, you talked about kind of predictive. We're staying in the 80s, my friend. We're bringing it up to 1987. Paul Verhoeven's RoboCop. I'm from Detroit. You knew it was going to make the list. Is this a punt, first of all?
No, it is not a punt, but I do love RoboCop. Seen it many times, and yeah,
This movie's fucking brilliant, man. It is one of the best satires of the 80s, which the 80s had a ton of great satires. Basically predicted how the police have acted over the last 35 years, unfortunately. Dissects capitalism as well, really well. Peter Weller as RoboCop is incredible. The gore and the body horror in this movie, it's just unreal, man. I've still never seen anything like it. The ending is so damn climactic as well. It just continually builds up to it. I mean, you see it and you see the poster and you look at it before and you kind of expect it to be cheesy. It really isn't, though. I mean, it's played pretty believably, honestly, and just, there's great lines. There's great examination of the media with "I'd buy that for $1." When the guy from that 70s show, the dad, says "bitches leave," is just great. It's just incredible to me, and I love this movie. This one never did it for me for some reason, Jack says, and that's fair. But yeah, for me,
Jackie boy, if I had known you as long as I have.
If you were American, maybe it would hit for you a little differently because it's unfortunately all too real. It's like a very American movie. And again, Paul Verhoeven, I believe he's Dutch. So his outsider kind of perspective on American consumerism, Americans' obsession with violence and guns, police brutality, all of the above. It's all in this movie, and you just got to remember it was 35 years ago, and just because it's so damn accurate, I think people seeing it now kind of take it for granted in some ways. But yeah,
yeah, dude, I'm sorry not to cut you off. I know you got some stuff you want to say about this, but just, dude, I love RoboCop for the reasons you said, and like it is aged so fucking well. Like it is some of the messages just hit really like different in 2023, and like I've been watching this movie since I was like a teenager probably, and like it was awesome then. It was like, oh, this is a super violent like action movie, but now it's like it's violent, it's funny, anything you can say is like cheesy. It's not really, it's like made in the 80s, and it's got this great like campiness to it, but it hits, man. Like you said, the climax is fucking really intense. Yeah, I love RoboCop, man. Great Paul Verhoeven joint.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a great movie, and I think that people coming to it now maybe take for granted a lot of these messages because they're so present in kind of the real world at this point. But when this movie came out, again, they weren't as clear, and Paul Verhoeven, I love him as a director.
So good, man.
I don't think there's any such thing as too much with his movies. Starship Troopers is the other one that's very close on this list that basically broke down 9/11 panic perfectly as well.
Starship Troopers is awesome.
Yeah, and these are like very close. I decided to choose one or the other. I went with RoboCop. So yeah, and just in general, it's one of the best Detroit movies ever, and so Detroit stand up, Detroit represent. RoboCop is my 83 from 1987. The remake wasn't bad, but it just had the unfortunate occurrence of being called RoboCop and being PG-13, which is just an absolute sin.
Nah, you can't be doing not when you have the fucking toxic waste scene at the end. That is just
it's so crazy.
It's gnarly, dude. Like RoboCop is so badass. Like it rocks on a lot of different
Nancy
levels.
Allen's good in it as well. It's a great one. Has some good comedy sprinkled in there without taking away from the dramatic kind of
Yeah, dude. You're like you said, your boy Kirkwood Smith. Dropping some villainous one-liners, dude.
Bitches leave.
I buy that for $1. Yeah, like you said, a lot of good one-liners in the movie, and good shit.
And it's all there for a point, as most Paul Verhoeven. Paul Verhoeven, one of my favorite directors.
Great shout, dude. I love it. I fucking love it.
Yep.
All right. Well, y'all have all seen my number 83, so I just have a little quick short story as to how I saw this movie, because it was really by happenstance. So this movie and the next movie are kind of like a double feature for two reasons. One, they came out the same year. And two, I saw them in a very short period of time within each other. Like I saw both of these movies within a week. One was rented, one was in theaters. So that's why it's kind of like a double feature for me. And it just so happens they ended up right next to each other in my countdown. So this first one was rented from a Blockbuster. So it's I'll set the scene real quick. So this is like early to mid 2000s, right? It's Christmas vacation. We're going down to New Orleans, and I'm like 20 years old, and my brother and cousins are like senior year in high school. But the whole point is, this is the first time we've all been old enough to like smoke weed together. And we all know it. So we eat dinner, whatever. And like the second we are all alone, I'm like, all right, dude, which one of your little fucking rich kid friends smokes weed? I know sells weed. I know you got one of them. Where are they? I was like, yeah, he lives just down the street. I'm like, all right, mom, we're going to Blockbuster. And she's like, you want me to take it? Nah, we're taking Steven's car. So the whole, like, we end up in Blockbuster, right? I'm high as a kite. And my cousin's like, this movie looks pretty good. Let's rent it. I was like, all right, whatever. I had no idea the absurdity and the ridiculously and the hilarity that I was about to fucking experience. And so like I just totally saw this movie by happenstance. It was just like Blockbuster was our cover, so we had to come back with a movie. So it's just like, all right, we're renting this one. But ever since I saw it, I've loved it. It is now a cult classic. It's been around for over 20 years or almost 20 years. But it is a really fucking good one. I watched it, I've watched all of these over, the past week. But it still fucking hits, man. Haven't seen it in a while. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, my number 83 movie is the cult classic coming of age comedy, Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, man. No, it's not on my list, but I had to go to high school while this movie was out. So all of the lines have been said to death.
It's true. It's played out. It's like it's been done to death. And unfortunately, like, yeah, you're right.
Beyond death.
But it got done to death, resurrected, and then done to death again.
Yes.
But this is another one kind of like Your Highness, where it's like it's so stupid and silly. I just can't help laughing at it. Like some of it's really the side character. Like Napoleon's funny, but like Kip Dynamite is so ridiculous, and like Rex Kwon Do and fucking I can't help myself. I love this movie. I love it. I love it. I saw it like when it had been out. Like I think it got released like early 2004. So I saw it when it was still like, it was still in the movies when you could rent it. And anyone that missed movie rental stores, anybody that missed out on that, I feel sorry for you, because there's only one thing better than getting stoned and going to rent movies. And I'll just leave it there. But yeah, man, this is like I said, I watched it over the weekend. I laughed my ass off. Uncle Rico is absurd.
Rex Kwon Do.
Yeah. What you want better than throw a football over the mountains?
Yeah. No, this is about as polarizing as a movie as you can get, because there aren't a lot of people like me who are in the middle about it. They either love it or hate it. I love the dance scene at the talent show as well, when he's drawing the Liger and he's like talking about Liger, that got me very good when he pulls the tots out of his pocket. I mean, that it's you can't help but laugh at that a little bit. But
Yeah, it's got some really great. It's kind of like nerd fantasy. It's like it's got this like surreal kind of like dreamy quality, the dreamlike quality to it. But it's very silly and aloof, like Napoleon, and it's just ridiculous. It's like none of it's the plot doesn't even make much sense. It's like a very simple, stupid plot, but it's just like every line is just silly and ridiculous. Stan, we need all the flipping chips, Kip. It's like Kip hasn't done freaking anything today.
LaQuanda or LaFonda or whatever her name
Fucking
was.
meets LaFonda and like
Tina, eat your dinner. Yeah, it's
eat the food.
Yeah,
LaFonda
I'm
is
jealous
the
that
best
people
thing that's
enjoy
ever
this
happened
movie
to
as
me.
much as you do, because I'm definitely not quite on that, but I can understand it. I respect it.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm a little biased. I hold it near and dear to my heart, but it's one that I again like. I wish I didn't like it as much as I did because it is so played, but I can't help it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you hate this movie, I don't think a rewatch is going to do anything for you, Jack.
Oh no, just forget about it. Just move on.
Yeah, exactly. There's watch one of the many movies you haven't seen on our list before you rewatch.
Yeah, dude, watch fucking Blade Runner or like, come on, Jackie boy.
Yeah, but either way, Judgment Free Zone, of course.
Indeed.
And yeah, all right. Well, I'm on to my 82, and I guess in the 80s, I'm just gonna stay in the 80s because I've got another 80s movie here. This is, I believe, the first. Have I had a David Cronenberg on the list yet?
I
No,
can't remember.
think so.
Honestly. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So this is my first David Cronenberg. It's not my last. David Cronenberg is one of my 5 favorite directors of all time. Dude is known for his body horror, if in case you didn't know. And this is some of the best body horror you're ever going to see in a movie. Jeff Goldblum, 1986, Gina Davis, The Fly. Horrific movie. And absolutely brutally sad. Just about a desperate, basically a huge scientific and technological breakthrough that has to do with a transportation device. But Jeff Goldblum is so blinded by wanting kind of notoriety and, love and everything like that he goes a little too far with his experiment. He's not careful enough. Noah, don't even get me started yet, because that might be on my list later. So I'm not gonna go into that. But Dead Ringers is a banger. So that's your hint. But The Fly is my pick for right here. It's just like just about a man who goes too far, to have a scientific breakthrough. He's not careful enough. And after having a not really successful go around with a baboon, he decides to go in to the transportation machine itself. Wasn't careful enough. There's a fly in there, and the two's DNA start to slowly mesh. It's an overall allegory for the inevitable aging and disease and death process we all go through, just sped up to 1,000,000 with some extra kind of bits thrown in there. He becomes super strong. There's an iconic scene with arm wrestling with an arm break that you can never forget about. It's also pretty scientifically accurate because like he starts to like ingest his food like a fly by puking on it to have the phlegm like melted down. His like fingernails start falling off. His ear falls off at one point. Like he just becomes more and more decrepit and sad. And, it's got kind of a tragic romance in it as well. It really is one of the saddest, grossest movies I've ever seen. And it's just pure David Cronenberg, man. It's a remake, and it's so much better than the original, which the original is great as well. Dead Ringers, again, I'll be talking about that later. So, because Dead Ringers is definitely not getting robbed from my list. But The Fly is my first David Cronenberg. Howard Shore, who he's worked with a ton, does the score, and the music is just perfect in this one. And it just continues to lead towards this inevitability. And it's just a complete allegory for life and death, unfortunately, or it is what it is, and it's just, and it's just sped up here to such a degree. And, Jeff Goldblum has never been better, and it's just, he wants so badly the fame, the notoriety, and the greatness, and yeah, I love this movie, man. It sticks with you for a long time afterwards. It's just perfectly constructed. It's not overly complicated. Maybe to some it's a little too simple, but at the same point, simple, effective storytelling is often the best, and this is a great example of it. And I just think it's David Cronenberg at his absolute, one of his absolute best, but probably for the body horror genre, his absolute best.
I agree. And it is the quintessential body horror because it's all the different parts of it. It's the subconsciously, like you said, pulling at your realization that at some point everyone is going to wither and die. So there's that going mixed with the just disgusting like process of him transforming into this like fly creature. And like it's like you said, like it's sad, man. You feel for the guy. You're like, oh God, like what if that was me? Like what if, like, because he does, it's not like he is like, oh, this is awesome. It's like he thinks it's awesome at first, and then it's like, oh shit, what's happening to me? And then Gina, like his relationship with Gina Davis, it's really, like you said, it's a tragic love story, and it is sad, man. But it's really like, kind of accurate with, it's like, what would it kind of be like if something like that happened? And everyone's like reactions and even his own are like pretty like what you would imagine to be kind of, sort of realistic. And he's very, like you said, scientifically accurate and very well directed and powerful and just fucking gross and just gnarly, dude. The Fly is gnarly. Great choice, man.
Yeah, the practical effects in this. I know that The Thing gets brought up all the time about practical effects, but this movie, I think, outshines it in just about every way.
That is crazy, too, to think that it is all practical effects. Like, damn, man.
Yeah, Seth Brundle, the ooze, the pus, the sores he has. And again, it's just, it's
hairs, dude, the hairs that start to sprout and shit.
Yeah, it's just, and it's a complete allegory and fear of, mortality, basically. And that's why it gets under people's skin, I think, so much. And some people may hate it because of that, because it is, as crazy as it is, too real.
Yeah, like it's like this, like it's not, not like you're gonna turn into a fly, but yeah, you are gonna fucking wither and get nasty and die. Like your body is gonna fucking become repulsive at some point. Like it just happens to everybody.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. And we have a troll. We have our first troll. Yeah, I guess unless you show the fucking the man dick into a fly dick, fully both flaccid and erect, you don't have it's not fully scientific. So
no,
it's not exhaustive enough. So yeah, Jesus Christ. All right. So my number 82, like I said, I saw this movie shortly after I saw Napoleon Dynamite, but I saw this one in theaters, and this movie was released in theaters, I think on Christmas Day, because we either saw it on Christmas or the day after. But we all went out like as a family. Once again, like told a cousin, yo, hit up your boy Ross Trent or whatever his name is. And so we get fucking lit again. And this is what I was saying. Like the only thing to me that is like more fun than going to like getting stoned and going to Blockbuster is getting stoned and going to watch a movie in theaters. It is just like such a fun experience. It's like a little adventure, dude. And if you get like real stoned, it's just like a fucking magical journey. So this is, like I said, same year, 2004, Christmas. This movie had just come out in theaters, so stoned. So maybe that's why I'm a little biased towards it. But to me, this is probably, in fact, no, there's no probably. This is my favorite Wes Anderson movie. Ladies and gentlemen, my number 82 is the criminally underrated 2004 movie, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Hold on. Is that on my list? Because that would be very high up there for Wes Anderson. Is it on here? Life Aquatic. I don't know how that didn't make my list, but go.
Well, this one, I don't see what the fuss about this movie was, because it, in some ways, it's similar to a lot of other Wes Anderson movies. Like, I know it has some serious subject matter that's not in some of the others, but like a lot of things that I heard critics and other people complaining about is like, dude, that's like almost every Wes Anderson movie. Like some of the where it seems like it's almost like self-satisfaction or like masturbation, or he's just like doesn't give a shit, or like what, like that it's done so well in this movie. Like this is a very Wes Anderson movie, but in the best way. People are like, oh, Bill Murray's character is unlikable. Like, bullshit. Like, I fucking love Bill Murray's character in this movie. Yeah. He's a flawed character, but he's really like a believable, like Bill Murray's deadpan is like works perfectly here. Like arrogant dickhead, like full of himself, but also realizes he's kind of washed, like trying to like fucking squeeze fucking like water out of a rock, like basically like a desperate dude. The movie's just about basically like a poor man's Jacques Cousteau going on a journey to find and get revenge on the shark that killed and ate his friend.
Yep.
And hilarity and hijinks and shenanigans ensue. It's really funny. Like this movie it has some serious shit in it, but this movie is so funny, man. I cannot stop laughing when he breaks into C's lab. That whole thing, I just start fucking laughing, dude. I don't know what it is. Jeff Goldblum is really funny, and the whole supporting cast. Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe is great.
He's so great at this. Like Owen Wilson is really good. Kate Blanchett is always good. Angelica Houston plays a great fucking part. Dude, I can't say enough good things about this movie. Like I'm not going to spoil too much of it, but like I said, I love Bill Murray's character, and one of the many things I love about it, and one thing I find very relatable, is he is always fucking peeling off to smoke a doober.
Yep.
He whips out a fat one like at least half a dozen times in this movie. He's just like, I can't handle this. I can't handle what's going on right now. I need to smoke. And he just like
relatable.
Boom. So that was one thing I was just like, yeah, dude, he smokes weed. Like when I first started watching the movie, I was like, oh shit, Bill Murray's smoking weed. But it's just like I do find that look relatable. I do that a lot at parties. I'm the guy that's like, where did 2 cents go? Oh, he's smoking weed like in the cup somewhere. So that and just like it's just his style of acting and his like sense of humor just shines and comes through so much in this movie. And just add that to all the other things that I like about other Wes Anderson movies, and you just have yourself a like fun 2-hour like escape, and I just love it to death.
Yeah, and I mean it's another great grief movie. Like good grief. Like you can make a lot of movie, and this is another really realistic portrayal of what that kind of can do for certain types of people. I think the soundtrack is incredible in this movie. The cinematography is gorgeous as well. And I just think all the characters are insane. This is one of my favorite, if not, top 2 or 3 Wes Anderson. I can't understand the hate for it either. Honestly, like with certain Wes Anderson, I really get the hate. This one, I can't quite figure out. And I continue to revisit this one a lot. I'm kind of shocked this isn't on my list, honestly. But
dude, there's been a couple movies that I was like, God damn it, how did I not put this on my list? It's like I'll make up for it, but like, fuck, dude, I left that one off. Like, shit.
Yeah. This is one that a lot of people, identify me with as well, and I'm not ashamed of that either. So,
dude, it doesn't have like quotes like your money baby, but like it's got some really funny one-liners. Like Bill Murray kills me in this movie. Don't be nice to Allie, he's my nemesis.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand, but I can tell it's bullshit.
Yeah, no, it's just it's great. Jeff Goldblum is really underrated in this one as well. So back-to-back Goldblums for our 82s at least. But yeah, no, this should have been a punt, honestly. I can see a couple movies I should have replaced this with, but it is what it is. Yeah, Moonrise Kingdom and Grand Budapest. See, I didn't really like Grand Budapest that much, Jack, so that's fair. But I liked Isle of Dogs, Moonrise Kingdom. I'm okay. I'm kind of in the middle on with him, but yeah, Darjeeling and Life Aquatic are both great. So
is that my coffee maker? Where did you get that? Who fucking stole it?
Yeah, no, this movie's great. And again, it's one of the best grief movies of all time.
It is, man. They handle it very well, and it's not like it's for a Wes Anderson movie that a lot of times is like silly and flighty. It's like they do a really good job of making it like realistically portrayed and not like ham-fisted and very like heartfelt. Like the sad parts of the movie are done with a lot of heart, and it comes through for sure.
Yeah, I love this pick. Great pick.
I hold this. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it should have been a punt, but it wasn't for me.
It's all good, brother.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're at the end here for these 5. Then we'll take a week off and we'll be back at it in November. But I got my first Spielbergo movie on my list here, and you have yet to have a Spielberg movie. And
that's right. Let's see, dude. Coming down to it.
Chance at a punt here, and it is my first of, I believe, 3 Spielberg movies. This one is one of the movies I've watched and rewatched more in the last 20 years than maybe any movie on my list. To me, it is a perfect sci-fi masterpiece starring Tom Cruise. It is Minority Report, the Philip K. Dick adaptation. Is that on your list?
This is not on my list, so I will not be punting here. But I do like Minority Report.
I fucking love this movie so much. John Anderson plays like a top cop in this pre-crime unit, which is able to predict crimes before they happen. I love how it opens. It opens with a husband who's clearly getting cheated on, and then like catching him right before he's about to stab his wife in the fucking neck with scissors. So spoiler right to the first 5 minutes. And then at one point, Colin Farrell, who's like a government like stooge, is investigating the pre-crime unit. And all of a sudden they get a prediction from the precogs that John Anderson is going to kill somebody. John Anderson played by Tom Cruise. And then the rest of the movie is essentially John Anderson on the run, trying to figure out this conspiracy and because he knows he's not going to kill somebody, but he had lost a kid previously to an accident. And so again, grief shows up once again in this movie and kind of is haunting Tom Cruise's character and nearly leads him to commit the crime that he said there's no way he would commit in the murder. It is another movie that predicted so much from like 20 years ago, like predictive ads and stuff. He goes into like the Gap and it reads his eyes, and he had already gotten his eyes changed to somebody else, like Mr. Wang or something like that. And so like the Gap is like, oh, we saw you've gotten turtlenecks before. You'd love these. So basically predicted Facebook ads, predicted how there's no like kind of privacy in this world and algorithms are kind of control things, everything like that. Philip K. Dick has so many great stories as well, being one of the best sci-fi writers of all time. But like what I really liked about this movie is that for me, Spielberg is a little too clean and glitzy and glamorous in his movies, and they're kind of asexual most of the time, and it bores me to a point. And this movie, it didn't feel like a Spielberg movie other than that the direction was really masterful and everything like that. But it felt like a much darker, more mysterious kind of Spielberg here. And the way that it ends up with Max von Sydow and him, I don't want to spoil, but that ending is tremendous as well. It is completely unpredictable. The doctor, played by Peter Stormare, is just great in that whole scene. the idea of, where they hold all these people with the halos, and everything is just really, really smart. I'm not a big Tom Cruise fan either, actually, Jack, but I think here he plays his role really, really well. Colin Farrell chasing him throughout the movie. Neil McDonough, who I mentioned at the beginning, was in Soulmates. He's in this as one of the cops. It's really great as well. Yeah, this movie looks so sharp as well. Like it does have a lot of special effects and CGI, but I think it was used quite effectively as well. I love how the cars as well look in this movie. It's just a man on the run, and basically for nearly 2 hours. So and it really doesn't ever slow down. The surgery scene is really gross as well. And yeah, I love this movie. I've seen it so many times and never kind of wanes for me either. Minority Report. I remember seeing this in theaters and my mind blowed. My mind was blown. Like, I was 13 years old when I saw this movie, and I had just never seen anything like it. I was just like, oh, what if this was real? Like, this is crazy. Got me into Philip K. Dick, reading his books as well. So, and yeah, he's one of my favorite authors of all time, sci-fi genius. And again, it doesn't feel like a Spielberg movie. I mean that in a good way.
Dude, I love Minority Report. Good shout, man. I have not seen this movie in a while, but every time I watch it, I kind of feel the same way.
Like gravity guns are sweet in it as well.
It's dope, man. I like it's a lot of like world building for just a one-off movie. Like, it seems like a movie that they would grab a hold of and make like a whole franchise, but I'm glad they didn't, because it's like it's got its own like kind of unique, like, yeah, there's some elements of sci-fi that like seen in some kind of movies, but in other ways, it's kind of a unique like sci-fi world that like still.
It's a perfect Phil K. Dick adaptation, and they've tried so many at this point. Like Next, starring Nicolas Cage, which is a stupid, funny movie, but it's like you can see when they botch it, how bad the movies can turn out, and they go back to Philip K. Dick over and over again. I think because of this movie and how well it worked.
This is a really heady movie, but I like that too. Like, it's kind of trippy, where it's like, whoa, this is gnarly. Like, what if
this happened? What? And like, yeah, at first you're like, oh, that seems great. Like, it should, if that technology or that ability exists, we should utilize it. But you realize how man corrupts all, and that
it would not hands, dude. Like,
exactly, just like RoboCop. It's kind of a similar list to a lot of my movies were grief and police state type of movies at this stage. But yeah, I've seen it so many times. It's one that I kind of can't even listen to criticism about because I just love it that much. And Colin Farrell plays such an asshole in so many movies, and this is one of his best asshole roles ever. And
I was just going to say, I love Colin Farrell's role in this movie. Some of his like my favorite like acting performances.
Yeah, just such a skeptic, and everything like that. And like Tom Cruise, again, not one of my favorite actors either, but honestly, in this movie, he plays such a believable role, and he can't believe that he's accused of what he's doing. And then when it gets to the scene where it shows from the precogs his vision, it's so brilliant as well, because they find a way to set it up to get him to nearly, and I don't really want to even spoil it from there, but they find a way to set it up by utilizing his tragic story with his son and how it drove apart his family.
Yeah, man. And I agree with you. Like, Tom Cruise, he does have certain performances that really hit and stick. Like, man, he was good in that. And this is one of them, because like this is a kind of movie where, like, yes,
I can't imagine anyone else being in the role.
No, absolutely not. Because yes, there's some heady sci-fi aspects to it, but it's kind of like a sci-fi action movie a little bit. And if there's one thing that Tom Cruise definitely is, he is a bona fide fucking action star. So like his physicality, like his like
the umbrella scene with the precog is great too, like covering up all the surveillance.
Dude, the eye scene is gnarly. I don't know if you mentioned that, but sorry, I had to step away for a second. But that's gnarly. I love the chase, man. I love the kind of like chase through the city and him like trying to figure the shit out. And it's got a great mystery aspect to it. Like, there's murder mystery to it. It's It's thrilling. It's a good sci-fi movie. It's a good action movie. Like good shout, man. Like I need
Max
to watch
von Sydow, what more do you need?
Fuck yeah.
Great movie.
Well, yeah, Jackie Boy beat me to it. What up, boy? What up, Big Show? Yeah, man. Shout out to you. Shout out to the boys at Pub. Gonna do that thing up next week. So that Minority Report is a great shout. I need to watch that because it's been a few years since I've seen it, but it has always been one. It's like, man, that's a fucking good one. It's like, oh yeah, Spielberg did that too. Maybe that's why it's so fucking good. Because yeah, man, there's certain directors that can get good stuff out of actors that you might not be like, well, they're not that great of an actor, but like some certain directors can get good stuff out of certain guys, and like this is one of them where it's like, yeah, he got the best out of Tom Cruise in that one for sure.
Yep.
So my number 81 is a Steven Spielberg directed film as well, but it is not Minority Report, and I don't know. You still might punt on this. I don't know. But my number 80. Let's see. I have a bunch of shit written down. Okay. There's no anecdotal bullshit here. I don't have like a cute story or anything. But this one is a bona fide, game-changing, bar-setting classic. This is one of the oldest movies on my list, actually. It's older than me. But like I said, I watched this along with all the other movies on my list or in this week's episode, and it still fucking rocks. And parts of it have aged really well. The parts that haven't aged well, it's like, dude, it's older than me. It's like fucking over 40 years old. It's not going to look like amazing forever. There's only a few movies that can do that, and they're considered like all times. But this is an all time too, man. Like I said, this changed the game for this particular genre. This is my 81st favorite movie, the first Steven Spielberg movie on my countdown, but it won't be the last. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you one of the greatest adventure movies of all time, 1981's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Not on my list.
Nice.
I have a hot take. I am not a big indie fan. Crystal Skull is one of my favorite indie movies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hot, that is hot fire.
No, that is I came to this movie too late. When I watched it, I found it kind of just hokey. But tell me why.
Dude, I'm not even gonna tell you that like you're wrong with some of it because
I'm a Jew and he fights Nazis, so great. But yeah,
I get it. It's fine, and I understand that, and I have been watching this movie since I'm probably single digits, most likely.
Makes sense.
And I was born in the early 80s. So yeah, I've been watching this movie for a while, and I'm not going to say that all of it looks incredible. There's certain things where it's like, okay, that's clearly like a rubber fucking like dummy or whatever. But the reason I give it a pass is it's so influential, but I do watch this movie with knowing that it's like 40 years old and some of the shit looks a little like hokey and cheesy. So I do watch it with that. I watch it a little bit more tongue in cheek. But it's just iconic scene after iconic scene.
Definitely.
Like look at that Avatar, dude. That's like this. There wasn't an adventure movie like this before. And some of the shit where like, even at the beginning where it's like the dude's like impaled with the spear, and like spoiler alert, he's impaled with the spears, and it's like, okay, that was Alfred Molina like 2 seconds ago, and now it's this like rubber thing. It's like, okay, whatever. Kind of like the Terminator, where it's like, okay, that's clearly a fucking like rubber, stop motion thing, whatever. But for every one of those, there's a fucking the ball roll. Like that still looks intense and still hits. That where still is like, oh shit, that ball is about to fucking crush him. This scene right here where he's like trying to fucking distribute the weight so he can get the idol. I just like it because kind of like Rob Roy, it is very like good guys versus the bad guys. Like Indiana Jones is the like, he's kind of a dick. Like he's chauvinistic. He's a dick. He's like arrogant, but he is always about doing and finding these lost artifacts for the right reason and making sure they're like preserved in a museum so people can learn about him. He's all about the scientific shit and like this belongs in a museum, and I've always liked that. And for like I said, every one of those like cheesy, like, oh my God, what is this fucking 80s shit? There's one of these where it's just like, this is an iconic shot. And I love this scene in particular, this whole sequence, because this is Indy in his element. At the end of the day, he is an archaeologist, and like digging for and finding these like lost treasures is like what his life is all about. And like that kind of gets lost and like, oh, he's an action adventure dude. Like, what is he doing it all for? That's what he's doing it all for. And like, I don't know, man. It takes you all around the globe. I love the little like, it's just simple things like the red dot tracing the path, because that's all it is. It's like a red dot tracing a path and then a picture of a plane in the background. But you put them together and it almost feels like you're being taken on this journey around the world. And like I said, I saw this when I was younger. So yeah, it got me early, but there's still some great scenes in this. Like I said, iconic shots. I love the fucking the whole sequence where they're running through the market square and he has to fight the dude with the sword and can't find the basket she's in, and he gets into a lot of fist fights. He fights that fucking huge Nazi dude by the plane. He has to just chases and fucking it's a classic movie, man, and I just fucking love it. This is one where it's like this has to be on there. The music, the John Williams soundtrack, like this is
I acknowledge it is all good. It just I don't have the connection to it. I can acknowledge it's a great ode to, serials of the 30s and 40s. The music is great. Each set is perfectly, constructed. There's great action in it. It's just, when you come to this one so later on where you've kind of learned all of it before, there's just something that's kind of taken away from it. And like, it's one of these movies I kind of feel bad I don't like more than I do. But yeah, like Big Show, it's not even on my dartboard. It's nowhere close. None of the original three are. If I had to pick one, I would say Last Crusade would be my favorite of the original three. But it's like barely ahead of this one and Temple of Doom. I think Temple of Doom is overhated, if anything. But yeah, like this movie, like definitely you look at it now and you're like, wow, it's PG. It's kind of crazy. Definitely doesn't feel like a PG movie, but at the same point, like Harrison Ford is so great, perfectly casted as this character. He is Indiana Jones. This is his best role ever. It's missing that component that makes me love it or even ever feel like rewatching it. Like maybe when I have kids, it will be one that I rewatch and have a new discovery of love for. But it's never going to be a movie. If I have 1,000 movies to choose from that are movies I like, this is probably not going to be on the list.
No, and it doesn't hurt my feelings at all. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all, and I completely understand it.
Give me The Mummy over this any day of the week.
And I like The Mummy, but it is like that's one of those things where it's like there's certain movies.
See, I was raised on The Mummy, so for me, that's my Indiana Jones.
Exactly, dude. There's just some things where it's like this does nothing for me. I have no connection to that. Like that's kind of like me with The Thing. Like I have no connection. Like
it's a lot of Spielberg movies, if I'm being honest. So
dude, Jaws is like that for me. I feel nothing for Jaws. I think Jaws.
I love Jaws.
I don't get it. It's like that does not scare. Nothing scares me about that movie. But
the people are the scariest part of Jaws, which I think I might have Jaws on my list, so I shouldn't say too much.
Okay. Well, I'll save it. But
yeah, like Jaws to me, is the class. And I saw Jaws later on too, and I wasn't raised on Jaws, but Jaws to me, I think completely works still. But this one just doesn't.
No, I completely understand. But I was raised on Indiana Jones, and this one, it still hits for me. Like, it's just a good fucking adventure movie. Like,
it is.
And I understand that it's like, it's not, a lot of people don't have a personal attachment to the Indiana Jones. Like, and I get it. I totally like understand your point of view and it not just doing anything for you. But and it's not like it's my absolute favorite movie. And there are Spielberg and even maybe other Indiana Jones movies that I have higher than this. But spoiler alert, but yeah, this one is still a classic. Like the combination of music, of rousing moments, of just classic Indiana Jones shit is like it's too much for me to keep it off the list. And no, I get it though. I get it. It's a movie that it's like, okay, this was clearly made 40 years ago. But
yeah, I mean, it was made 40 years ago about movies from 40 years ago. It was like made as an ode to 30s and 40s movies in the 80s, and now it's 2023. So, yeah, aspects of it definitely feel dated, but at the same point, I can respect it. I understand it. I know it's on a lot of people's lists, just not mine.
Right on. Well, that is one of the things that I like about this is like our lists are pretty different and you get a wide variety of movies and takes. You know, there's movies that like Aaron has a lot higher on his list that I'm like, it's all right. Mm-hmm. And you know, and same as this, like does nothing for him, but it's one of my favorite fucking movies of all time. And that's just like, that's one of the things I like about movies, man. There's a shit ton of them. And like, they're just, you know, different horses for different courses, you know?
Yeah. Are you, Jack asked about worst Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I said the remake.
I haven't seen all of them actually, so I couldn't speak intelligent. I've only seen the first three and I have not seen the remake.
Well, the first three are all great. So like Dream Warriors, especially. Yeah. Dream Warriors is probably my favorite of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
That's number 3, right?
Yeah, with Larry Fishburne and all the kids in the mental asylum, basically like coming together to fight. But the second one's hilarious with the gay panic as well. And the first one would probably be my third favorite of those three. And Freddy vs. Jason also should count and is great.
I've never been a massive Nightmare on Elm Street dude. It's not that I didn't like them. I think it scared me when I was a really young kid, and I was just like, I want to stay away from these, and I just never saw them, even as I got older and got.
I mean, you saw the good ones, so I mean, New Nightmare's all right for some people, but after that, it really does get off the rails a little bit. Nightmare on Elm Street 5 would be my next pick, Jack, if the remake doesn't count. Yeah, Freddy vs. Jason is awesome. If you haven't seen Freddy vs. Jason, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a fun one.
And if you haven't seen, not that this has to do with anything, but Jason X, what are you really doing with your life?
Nice. Well, dude, we haven't talked about this live, but I like that you told me that you saw The Running Man.
Oh yeah, The Running Man, that is incredible. I don't know why that isn't mentioned more than it is. It's fucking brilliant. The power ballad that it ends with is absolutely like incredible as well. And I mean, seriously, Arnold, I don't think has ever been better, but Richard Dawson is what truly brings that movie.
Isn't he great, dude?
He is all the way in on this role, man. And it is just phenomenal.
Killian, I'll be back.
And Bad Boys took the fucking like kind of cart idea from that movie. Like the carts that they all get around in, that's like what it's in Bad Boys, exactly what's in Bad Boys. So, no, Running Man blew me away. That was so good. Jesse Ventura, incredible.
It's such a good 80s movie.
Yeah, it's really is up there. And if I had more time to marinate on it, it would be competing with like the RoboCops of the world for me. Like, because it is so good. I couldn't believe how good it was.
Yeah, I loved it, man. I was like so pleasantly surprised on the rewatch. I was like, yes, this movie still fucking rocks.
Yeah, that movie is so underrepresented from Arnold's movies. Like
dude, it has so many one-liners, man. Well, I hope you leave enough room for my fist because I'm gonna ram it into your stomach.
Yeah, seriously. Like it's incredible. And it's another movie about media, media's obsession with violence and government corruption and all the things that make
propaganda and shit.
Propaganda. Yeah, it's just, it's basically predicting the food and gas war we're in right now. My God, like if you don't think we're in a food war, just look at how much a double cheeseburger is at McDonald's now.
Oh yeah, dude. Food deserts are a real thing, man.
Yeah, I don't know how people are affording to eat anymore, and it's getting worse and worse. Like I spent $70 at the grocery store for 2 days like worth of food, basically.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like we weren't getting eggs, we weren't getting like a bunch of things because we're leaving for our honeymoon on Sunday, and I was just like, but we needed food for today and tomorrow. $70.
Oh, I believe it, man. You want a week's worth of food? You breaking out about $1.50.
Easy. I was just like, damn, man, like it's wild, and like that's what Running Man's all about. Yeah, the Running Man is so smart too. Like,
Food Riot in Progress.
Yeah, it's just incredible movie. If you haven't seen The Running Man, I double down on that recommendation. The Running Man is incredible. It should be mentioned like the Terminator of the world. It should be mentioned above Commando, which I love Commando, but
yeah, Commando's good.
Yeah, Commando's good. This is better.
Yeah, I love fucking Running.
Yeah, great. And then the power ballad to end it just is a perfect capper.
Yeah, dude.
Everything. Like I don't know who sings that final song, but it cracked me.
I feel like it's a decently well-known like 80s kind of like one of those bands.
Yeah, Jack, check out The Running Man. Seriously, it is.
Oh, Jack, you'll love it, dude.
It's top 5. I'm willing to say it's top 5. Arnold for me.
I had to put it on the list, man. I've been loving it since I was a little lad.
Like, I don't know how I didn't see this movie sooner.
It's fucking great, dude. Well, dude, I'm glad you loved it, and I'm glad we're doing this countdown, man. This is a ton of fun, and shit. That's
we gotta take a week off, unfortunately. But we'll be back in 2 weeks in November 8th or something like that. So yeah, I'll be gone till November. In the words of Wyclef Jean.
Man, I love it, dude. Well, I want to thank you again for joining me and making this fucking show a thing. I've been really enjoying this and very much looking forward to the next week we do this. So, dude, I'll just say it on air. Congratulations, and I'll see you soon. And fucking man, 2 more weeks and enjoy your honeymoon. And shit, I don't know what else to say, man. Dude, everyone that came through today, thank you. Even the trolling. Just make sure you smash the like button. And we'll be
Ginger
back.
can take my place next week. Go ahead.
Yeah, what is that?
He's saying I'll take Aaron's place. Hit my line.
So, okay, yeah, totally another Ginger KO, definitely.
Yep, we got you. Yeah, but appreciate Jack. We'll do Chico making the appearance on the podcast breaking through the wall here. Shout out.
Oh yeah, what up, Chico?
Yeah, shout out to Chico. He's not going to be a bastard anymore. He's going to have a full family. So congratulations to Chico on no longer being a bastard. Yeah, honestly, this is a blast, man. Looking forward to continuing the list and realizing all the other movies I should have added. But at the end of the day, we each could only have 100 movies, and 100 is just not very many movies when you love movies, period.
So, dude, it's tough, man. It's definitely tough to narrow it down, but man, we can always do another one with the fucking top 200 if you're feeling frisky. But man, thanks again for joining me, and congratulations. We'll see you soon, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. Thanks again, everybody. Smash the like button. I guess that's it for Aaron and myself. Just my 2 cents. Thank you, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, hopefully.
See you at the wedding, buddy.
Yeah, I'll see you then, bud.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.
Chico.